Good morning. Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the liberal religious spirit and united by our desire to grow in love and in service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, you are welcome here. Whether you gather with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or are with us this morning for the first time, we are glad you are here. I'm Reverend Sharon Wiley, Chalice's minister. Our worship musician this morning is Justin Gray. Welcome to our online worship service. Welcome to those of you watching live using Zoom, and welcome to those of you who are watching the recording of this service later. For those of us using Zoom, please notice on your menu that there's a button that says CC Live Transcript. That is Zoom's closed captioning service, and you can click on it to hide subtitle if you don't want to see it, or you can show the subtitle if you want that function on. Also on your Zoom menu is a chat button. For those of you who like to use the chat box during the service, which you're welcome to do, please be sure that when you post that you use that little blue menu to select panelists and attendees. If you only post to panelists, almost no one will see what you posted. I'm the only panelist, and I probably won't notice what you posted during the service. So we want everyone to be able to read all of the posts. So let's all give ourselves a big hug of hello and welcome. If you share space with someone, let this be a reminder that you can hug them too. I want to especially welcome those of you who are newcomers at Chalice. Towards the end of the service, there will be a link in the chat box for adding your name to our email list. Our weekly email is the best way to get information about the many online groups and activities we offer using Zoom. So if you're new to Chalice and would like to learn more about the congregation, you're also invited to stay in this Zoom room, this Zoom webinar, after our service ends, and we can have a newcomer chat using the chat box. So now let's take a breath together.
Good morning. According to the Library of Congress, the first permanent Euro-American settlements began a pattern of displacement and land appropriation of indigenous people that continued until the 20th century. In this region that we consider home, the Kumeyaay first lived here for over 10,000 years and were the people who greeted the Spanish when they first sailed into the San Diego harbor in 1542. With this awareness, we acknowledge that Chalice is located on the stolen, tribal, ancestral homeland of the Apai, which is part of the Kumeyaay Nation, and the Payamkawichem Nation. This acknowledgement reminds us that we live in a history-driven present and that we need to be intentional with this land and with the people indigenous to the land. Mary Lyons from the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe states, "When we, the indigenous people, talk about land, land is part of who we are. It is a mixture of our blood, our past, our current, and our future." According to the research done with Reclaiming Native Truth, 40% of Americans do not believe that indigenous people still exist in the U.S. Chalice hopes that with our first step of land acknowledgement, we can move towards educating ourselves and others about indigenous communities and their rich and diverse culture and create a meaningful relationship with them as well.
Now we light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. The flaming chalice was first used during World War II by the Unitarian Service Committee as a symbol of life-saving refuge for people fleeing persecution in Europe. May our chalice flame burn brightly, that all who are seeking may find us. The days are growing longer. Hallelujah. More sunshine to lift our spirits, along with the good news of more vaccines. At last, we may be feeling hope, not just fear. At last, we may be able to see good times ahead, not just hard times. In this season of tentative optimism, cautious happiness, we gather together in friendship with shared values to worship together again. You're invited to join in singing.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's soft flame. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Our Sunday worship is the shared spiritual practice of our community, and we tend to the congregation during this time by honoring our joys and sorrows. If you would like to share a joy or sorrow with the congregation this morning, now is the time for sharing in the chat box. If you would like to send me a confidential note about your joy or sorrow, please email me. I'll put my email in the chat box.
I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river
Our story is The Most Magnificent Thing, written and illustrated by Ashley Spires. This is a regular girl and her best friend in the whole wide world. They do all kinds of things together. They race, they eat, they explore, they relax. She makes things, he unmakes things. One day, the girl has a wonderful idea. She is going to make the most magnificent thing. She knows just how it will look. She knows just how it will work. All she has to do is make it, and she makes things all the time. Easy peasy. First, she hires an assistant. Next, they gather their supplies. They set up somewhere out of the way and get to work. The girl tinkers and hammers and measures, while her assistant pounces and growls and chews. When she is finished, she steps back to admire her work. She walks around one side. Her assistant examines the other side. It doesn't look right. Her assistant picks it up and gives it a shake. It doesn't feel right either. They are shocked to discover that the thing isn't magnificent or good. It isn't even kind of sort of okay. It is all wrong. The girl tosses it aside and gives it another go. She smooths and wrenches and fiddles. Her assistant circles and tugs and wags. When she is finished, she stands up and takes a long look at it. Her assistant gives it a nudge with his paw. The thing is still wrong. She decides to try again. The girl saws and glues and adjusts. She stands and examines and stares. She twists and tweaks and fastens. She fixes and straightens and studies. She tries all different ways to make it better. She makes it square. She makes it round. She gives it legs. She adds antennae. She makes it fuzzy. She makes it long, short, rough, smooth, big, small. One even smells of stinky cheese. But none of them are magnificent. Her hard work attracts a few admirers, but they don't understand. They can't see the magnificent thing that she has in her mind. She gets mad. The angrier she gets, the faster she works. She smashes pieces into shapes. She jams parts together. She pummels the little bits in. Her hands feel too big to work, and her brain is too full of all the not right things. If only the thing would just work. Crunch! Ow! The pain starts in her finger. It rushes up to her brain. And she explodes. It is not her finest moment. I'm no good at this. I quit. Her assistant suggests a walk. It was not much help at first. But before long, she starts to feel different. Bit by bit, the mad gets pushed out of her head. As they stroll along, she comes across the first wrong thing she made. The bad feelings are about to start all over again. then she notices something surprising. There are some parts of the wrong things that are really quite right. The bolt on one, the shape of another, the wheel to seat ratio of the next. There are all sorts of parts that she likes. By the time she reaches to the end of the trail, she finally knows how to make the thing magnificent. She gets to work. She works carefully and slowly, tinkering, hammering, twisting, fiddling, gluing, painting. Her assistant makes sure there are no distractions. The afternoon fades into evening. Finally, she finishes. She alerts her assistant. The pair take a good long lurk. It leans a little to the left, and it's a bit heavier than expected. The color could use a bit of work too, but it's just what she wanted. They climb aboard and take it for a spin. They are not disappointed. It really is the most magnificent thing.
Training the mind is often quite different to how people imagine it to be. Maybe they have an idea it's about stopping thoughts or eliminating feelings, but the reality is a bit different. An easy way to think of it is to imagine yourself sitting on the side of a busy road, the passing cars representing the thoughts and the feelings. All you have to do is to sit there and watch the cars. Sounds easy, right? But what usually happens is that we feel a bit unsettled by the movement of the traffic. So we run out into the road and try and stop the cars, or maybe even chase after a few, forgetting that the idea was to just sit here. And of course, all of this running around only adds to the feeling of restlessness in the mind. So training the mind is about changing our relationship with the passing thoughts and feelings, learning how to view them with a little more perspective. And when we do this, we naturally find a place of calm. Will we sometimes forget the idea of the exercise and become distracted? Of course we will. But as soon as we remember, here we are, back on the side of the road again, just watching the traffic go by, perfectly at ease in both body and mind.
Meditation is one of the best known spiritual practices in our Chalice community. When I ask congregants about your spiritual practice, many of you mention wanting to meditate or trying to meditate. We have a women's meditation group that meets weekly, and before the pandemic and congregational life moving online, there were 2 other weekly meditation meetings on our campus. From all we can tell, meditation practice originated several thousand years ago in the Hindu faith tradition of India. There is documentation of meditative practices as early as 1500 BCE, before the Common Era. Between 600 and 500 BCE, meditation practices developed in the Taoist tradition in China and the Buddhist tradition in India. By 653 CE, the first meditation hall opened in Japan as an expression of Japanese Buddhism. Fast forwarding to the 18th century, these ancient meditation practices began to be discovered by white Westerners. And in recent years especially, there has been a flourishing of meditative teaching and practice from Hindu and Buddhist meditation teachers. In the modern day United States, many people may think of meditation more as a secular spiritual practice than one grounded in a particular faith tradition, though that depends on your teacher and your practice. Our meditation groups here at Chalice are aligned with Buddhist teachings. Meditation apps like Headspace and Calm are popular and lucrative, In 2019, the top 10 popular meditation apps generated $195 million. So all of this is to say, if you've been meaning to try meditation or meditate more often, now is a great time to start. One of the great things about the meditation apps, I think, is that they are helping to dispel the idea that meditation means trying to make your mind blank. That's one kind of meditation, but there's many different kinds of meditation. Apps offer guided meditations, which can be very helpful in developing a practice. They help guide you through that time, help you call you back to your breath, call you back to your body if your mind has wandered. The video we watched just a moment ago, information from the Headspace app, described meditation as cultivating the ability to observe your thoughts and emotions going by, like cars on a busy highway, without needing to interfere or follow them. I think that image of cars on a freeway is a really powerful way to understand the unique skill that meditation helps cultivate. As with all spiritual practice, remember, our goal is not to ignore our emotions or to try and feel nothing in response to the events of our lives. That wouldn't be spiritually or emotionally healthy, and that's not the goal. But we do want to develop the ability to keep from getting stuck in our emotions. Remember that children's story we just heard? We could all tell our own stories of working hard on something, a project or a task, and getting stuck and angry and frustrated. And many of us have learned to put the task aside for a while, to go for a walk, get some fresh air, to change your perspective. And then when you come back to what you were working on, you suddenly see with fresh eyes and a new way forward presents itself. The girl in the story learned not just had an idea for what to do next, but if you noticed in the images, people were seeing her previous iterations and finding uses for them. So the things that she had completed were still good. They just weren't what they wanted. So her anger and frustration kept her from seeing the positive things she had worked on already. So that ability to change perspective, to see with fresh eyes, that's what meditation helps with. Our thoughts and feelings are part of us, but they're not all of us. Meditation helps us build the skill of observing our thoughts and emotions instead of just being swept away from them, by them. This is why daily spiritual practice is so important, because it's an exercise, like building a muscle. We're practicing what it's like to not get swept away by our thoughts and feelings. So practicing every day will have more profound benefits. It will build a stronger muscle, if you will, than practicing only once in a while. You're better off practicing 10 minutes a day, every day, than meditating for 1 hour a week in one sitting. So the cumulative time is not as significant as the daily practice. In the book we're reading this year for our spirit study topic, the author, Resmaa Menakem, recommends 20 to 40 minutes of spiritual practice every day. And he recommends this just as a basic level of self-care, not something unusual or extraordinary. But if you don't have a daily practice, a daily spiritual practice, it can feel daunting to try and jump into a 40-minute practice, right? I recommend starting small and achievable. Start with just 5 minutes, and then you can build up. If you're interested in meditation, you can look for an app that suits you. You can Google best meditation apps and to find lists and descriptions of what's available and what their different strengths and weaknesses are. Insight Timer is a free app which has lots of guided meditations to choose from, lots of different ways to search. And you can also just find guided meditation on YouTube. You can search for guided meditations there. There's lots of them of different lengths. Meditation isn't necessarily for everyone. This is a series on spiritual practices, and not only will we find a spiritual practice that suits you, but you might find like a variety of spiritual practices and build like a little toolbox, and so you can draw on the spiritual practice you need in when times feel hard and you need a spiritual practice to help calm down, help ground and center you. Meditation is not my favorite spiritual practice, I admit, but it's still one that's useful to me at times. Have I mentioned we're living in extremely stressful times? That continues to be true. It's easy to feel overwhelmed with anxiety and just to feel overwhelmed with information, right? We have access to so much information. And so there are times, most of us will feel times that we need to slow down our racing thoughts. And meditation is a wonderful practice for doing that. Even when I'm following a guided meditation, I feel like I'm doing it all wrong. It's hard for me to stay even tuned into the what I'm listening to that's trying to guide me. And I still, as messy and imperfect as all that feels, I almost always feel better at the end of the time. Imperfect practice is beneficial also. So if you've been thinking of meditation, wanting to try it, I encourage you to give it a go. You're invited to join in singing. Chalice is a robust community of people with diverse gifts and interests. It is through our communal sharing of gifts and talents that our community exists. This morning, we have information to share about how our music program works during the pandemic.
Do you like music? Then Chalice UU Congregation is the place to find it. Under the leadership of music director Tim McKnight, the Chalice music program has thrived since 2004. Music is an important part of Chalice worship services. On Sunday morning, you might hear classical, Broadway, jazz, folk, gospel, or a combination of genres.
Wait a minute, Tom. We can all agree that music is an important part of Chalice worship services. But what about that pesky, COVID-19 thing?
Yeah, unfortunately, during the pandemic, choir can't meet in person to rehearse anything.
Which has been a bummer for singers. Meanwhile, we've had to get technical, recording our voices at home to electronically send to Tim, who works his magic on them and makes us sound like pros.
How can I keep from singing?
Chalice's adult choral ensemble is the Chancel Choir. We're directed by Tim McKnight and accompanied by Deborah Morton. As soon as it's safe to reconvene, choir is open to anyone who enjoys singing. Singing together in choir has created a real bond. We care about and support each other through our personal highs and lows. Chancel Choir enjoys Zoom chats on Thursday evenings just to keep in touch and to have Tim tell us about the next project to be recorded at home.
Another Chalice program is the Hand Chime Ensemble, which offers a unique collaborative experience to its members. Under the direction of Tim McKnight and me, David Peel, the Hand Chime Ensemble looks forward to that day when we can rehearse again in person.
Once the coronavirus is in the rearview mirror, we think you'll find the Chalice Music Program offers a great opportunity for both your participation and enjoyment. Plato wrote, "Music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything." Smart guy.
If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that Chalice is not a place, it's a community of people. When you hear our musicians on Sunday morning and at other activities throughout the year, then you know that this is part of who we are. We are blessed by the many Chalice members and congregants who help our music program thrive. The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregational life possible. As Buddhist teacher Joseph Goldstein has said, it's important to understand that generosity is a practice, not just a single event. It's a quality in our hearts and minds that we can develop and cultivate. Please text your donation to Chalice. If you haven't texted a donation before, know that once you text the number, the dollar amount, you'll get a reply with a link to follow to enter your credit card information. And after you've done that, entered that information once, you won't need to do it again if you choose to make future donations. If your Sunday donation is part of your pledge payment, please be sure to indicate the word pledge after the dollar amount. And also remember that you can make a text donation anytime. That doesn't need to be during the worship service. So the phone number will be on screen in just a moment, and I'll also put it in the chat box. Please give generously. Please join in dedicating our offering with words of affirmation. May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. 500,000 deaths. We grieve together. We're approaching the 1-year anniversary of the stay-at-home orders. In fact, the last time I was in the chapel leading Sunday worship was a year ago, the last Sunday in February 2020. Then I left for a 2-week vacation, and when I came back, we started worshiping online. I left for vacation with no idea of what was in store and how things would change. We thought we would worship online for a few weeks, maybe. I know that many of us are aware of this timeline. I'm hearing many of us reflect on what we were doing last year at this time. When was the last time we did one activity or another? The last time we saw a beloved friend or family member? The last time we hugged or touched someone? It's natural that we are aware of this momentous milestone and that we are reflecting on it. And with everything else that we are living through and coping with, I invite you to know that there is this extra tenderness and to be even more gentle with yourselves and with each other. A year is a long time. It's been a long time. We've made it this far. We have survived far more than we could have imagined last year at this time. And we figured out how to get groceries, and we found the toilet paper, and grape nuts will be back in stock soon. Enjoy what is good. Be grateful for what's good. Enjoy the sunshine. Blessed be. You're invited again to join in singing.
Shall we gather at the river where our pride
Soon our happy hearts will quiver with the melody of peace. Yes, we'll gather at the river, a beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God.
May you go forward knowing that life is fragile and a gift, that you are lovable and loved, and you are not alone. Love and blessings to each of you. Blessed be. You're invited to close our time together by singing the well. Newcomers are invited to stay here in the worship for a newcomer chat, and everyone is invited to coffee hour.
We drink